Hi, my name is Gigi Jacobs, and I'm doing a video response to the video regarding Chris Christie, put out by T.J. Walker as the commentator, and I thought that he did a good job as far as presenting it and coming across sincere and, looking at everybody and answering all the questions until there were no questions left. But I don't look at it from that standpoint. I've done a little bit of research on how you can tell when people are lying and how the brain remembers or doesn't remember quite so well. And it sort of goes like this. There's a reason I do this. I had a brain clot about 10 years ago, and so I have some brain injury, and my photographic memory is completely gone. I have very poor short-term memory, and I'm always trying to find different ways to see if I can recover it. So the interesting thing is the brain has, well, let's say two different scenarios. The first scenario is you are given a story to tell to everybody. Now, the event did not happen, but somebody gave you all the bullet points of the story that you are to tell. Now, to remember that is harder than to remember something that you actually did. And the reason for that is you are just remembering words, a list of words in a story. You weren't actually there, okay? When you actually did the things that you say you did, if you were actually in a meeting 4 weeks ago and looking at your advisors and telling them, tell me the truth and what happened right now. Okay, you've got a lot of things going on here. You've got visceral memory. You're not just remembering words now. You were in that room. You smelled the smell of the room, the furniture, the perfume, cologne. You saw the people with your own eyes. You heard them talking and responding to you. There's touch, there's feel. And in addition to that, from his description of some of this events or this meeting, he had this passion because he wanted to know the truth. Okay, when you talk like that, you are excreting more adrenaline, and that adrenaline helps to imprint that memory on your brain. So if you are then asked questions about it, it's going to all match up because you were actually there. You remember everything in detail. It's very difficult to remember everything in detail when there was no event that took place. So what I do is I look at what a person says. I listen very carefully to the story that they tell. And what I'm looking for is conflicts in the story, where things don't match up. And Chris Christie had about 7 things I saw that just did not jive. In other words, it would be like saying, yes, I did it, or no, I didn't do it, both in the same half hour. And I'll give you an example. He says he's going to get to the bottom of this. He's going to find out, what happened and the whole story, and do a full and thorough investigation to get to the bottom of this. But then, at another point in time, he says that as soon as he saw these emails, well, he realized that this Bridget was involved, and he didn't need to ask her any questions. He just fired her. Okay, that does not make sense at all. That does not add up logically. That is not how a person would behave. That is a huge contradiction. Because if you were doing an investigation to find out what happened, wouldn't you ask one of the people that were actually involved? I mean, that would be the first place to go, right? Somebody that you actually knew was involved. That's who you'd call into your office and go, okay, I read the email. Now you tell me who told you to shut this bridge down or close down the lanes. He didn't do that? He just fires her? No. That does not make sense. That contradicts his statement that he's going to go to search the bottom of this. He just got rid of one of the biggest sources of information he could possibly have. So that's contradiction number one. Contradiction number two. He says as of yesterday, he's sad. He's heartbroken. In fact, he's going through the stages. Since yesterday, but then at another time, he says he had this meeting 4 weeks ago where he looked and brought his top advisors in and he asked them, now you tell me what happened. I want to hear exactly right now the truth. Sounds to me like he got angry 4 weeks ago. But he contradicted himself and he said no, he got angry starting yesterday. That's when it hit him. So again, another contradiction, something that doesn't fit, just does not make sense. And when we take this and we look at his behavior over the period of time, including the last 4 weeks or 4 weeks ago, he was nonchalant about the whole thing. Traffic, schmaffic, whatever, there's always traffic. It's like he just didn't show any interest in it. So we never heard of this meeting before or this questioning of anybody or him showing any concern whatsoever. Big mistake. Now, Christie, who's actually living in the state of New Jersey, who does not have brain damage, and is the governor and has authority over the bridge, doesn't have any questions about why that took place. And on top of that, simultaneously, when it becomes a conspiracy, like 2 of the Port Authority supervisors turn in their resignation, and he doesn't say, hey, dude, what's with the resignations all of a sudden? What does he do? He just says, oh, okay, yeah, I'll sign your resignation. No, that does not make logical sense. That, to me, and to anybody with a logical mind, would go, that does not follow. There is a lie in that story. One side or the other, either one of the scenarios or the other scenario is a lie. And because of that, I think that he actually did himself more harm in his press conference. I think he actually hung himself by his own words. If you actually listen to the words and are not swayed by the acting that he did and the fairly decent performance as a speaker. I don't know if everybody listens to people that closely for the logical, whether it matches up logically or not. I think enough people are, and so that was going to cause further inquiries. I know that, I believe it was yesterday or today, a woman filed a class action lawsuit against Christie and the state of New Jersey. I know that this took place on an interstate highway, which means that it's federal, and it involves federal prosecutors and the FBI. And so, in my opinion, as to his future career, I think Christie is on his way down. And there was really not anything he could have said. I've been thinking about what story could he have made up. And he made up about the best story he could have made up. But unfortunately, it wasn't good enough because it did not fit all the scenarios. And when contradiction exists when people talk, that means there are lies coming out of that person's mouth. And so that's my opinion on Christie day number 2, post-press conference. And I want to thank TJ Walker for doing some of the best videos and the best commentaries and saying goodbye from the West Coast. This is Gigi Jacobs.